What is up, everybody? We are BTB Analytics, and we are talking college basketball for Saturday, November 22nd. If you guys don't know, we have this model that we've been touting for the last few weeks in the college basketball season, and it's a really, really powerful tool. So, what I'm going to do today is make a video that's going to do two things. One, it's going to show how we use the model for your own use, and two, I'm just going to tell you all the games that show edge. So you get a pretty cool sneak preview or free preview if you want. I'm gonna save this video for later viewing. Now, what's really cool about this is we do have three different models in here that we blend together, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about that and how we use that to make our actual final prediction. So we're gonna do this together. If you wanted to use this on your own, you can see use the code YT Live for 20% off any package. We have regular season, regular and postseason, and weekly packages there. So what I'm going to do is, without further ado, just kind of hop into all the games that we have edge for spreads, money lines, and totals. And then for you guys who are here live, be happy to look at any other game you want to look at. So want to get you oriented real quick to this. All right. So what you're looking at are the various columns here. So first and foremost, we have the game. That's just the teams we're playing. The team is obviously the team that we're talking in reference to. We got the logos here. Now, the predicted outcome, that is the end all be all like prediction. That's what we're actually saying, what we think that spread would be. The current spread is what the current spread is. Now, this is pretty cool. So what we do is we take in odds API and we run this like every 10 minutes. So we're constantly updating all of the spreads from your favorite books, Caesars, FanDuel, DraftKings, Fanatics, etc. And so what we do is we'll average these things out so you kind of know what the number is and what we're comparing that number to. So you never have to guess if a bet is still good or not as the line moves throughout the day, because these lines will move, especially on a Saturday. You will see these lines move sometimes pretty dramatically, and the calculations will auto update every time the line moves. So you always know what your current edge is. So the spread cover probability, just like the name sounds, that is the percentage chance that we're giving a certain spread to cover based off of what our prediction is. Okay. So you can see here in this first line, we have this as a current spread of +2.5, and we're giving this a spread cover probability of 58% based off of we make this game a pick 'em, right? And so that's really good to know. And then the edge for covering spread, this is the end all be all. The edge is what we're looking at here, what we think the actual edge is. So positive EV or negative EV. And so our sort of guidance is, if you want to be very aggressive, bet anything with an edge from 0.1% up. Our actual guidance, though, for those who want to be a little more conservative, is you really want to look at probably the 4% edge as a cutoff, plus spread consensus. And I'll talk about that in a second. And the reason being, like we've said all the time, for basketball, for football, whatever we have a model for, you never have the edge you think you have. So even though we put a lot of work in this, even though we expect to win, overall, let's be humble. We know we don't know everything. And so give yourself a little wiggle room. And then finally, spread consensus. So remember, I said we have three different models that we're using. Two are team-based, one is a player-based model, and we're averaging those together. And so we get each output for each of the three models. And when they all agree on a certain size, so again, let's say that the spread is +10, right, for a team. If they all agree that 10 is too many points, you'll see yes here for spread consensus. That means they're all on the same side of a bet. If two models agree and one doesn't agree, you're going to see no here for a spread consensus. And that's not uncommon. So remember, like in basketball, we're dealing with very, very tight ranges and margins of predictions. And so if a model is 2 points off of another model, that can be enough to sort of split where the current market sits. And so you can have two models say, hey, we're on one side, the third model say it's on the other. But because the models are such in favor of a certain side, you still can't see edge here. So just because you have edge, that's the end all be all. That's what we care about. But the spread consensus can be an extra little cherry on top. All right, so now that we understand what these columns mean, let's just start with the highest edge games for Saturday. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you guys first and foremost, I've been looking at these bets, kind of nonstop since we launched this thing, and especially early in the season in non-conference play. A lot of value. It's going to feel gross, but a lot of value is going to be on these deep dogs because there's just too many points to be had here. And a lot of value in general are going to be on some of these Power Five conference teams. We will see some Power Five. I think we have Penn State's another game in here that we show value on for a certain direction. But more often than not, you're going to see a ton of value on these sort of like ESPN plus high school gymnasium games. And that's the beauty of college basketball because there's 365 D1 teams now. There's just too much volume to always have sharp lines. So that's where you can pick them off. All right. So without further ado, first game up, Coastal Carolina, Chanticleers. We have them as a pick 'em. Current spread right now is plus 2.5. That's a 5.6% edge. That would be a bet here. We don't have spread consensus on that, so 2 out of 3 models agree, but that's still a lot of edge. Next up, Wagner Seahawks against Georgetown. We have them at plus 21.5. You can see the current spread is plus 23.5. We give that 4.5% edge. All right, Miss Valley State Delta Devils against CSU Bakersfield. I told you it's going to be ugly. We have them at plus 22.5. You can currently get them at 24.5. That is a 4.3% edge, and you have spread consensus. That would be the ideal type of bet that we're looking for here. All right, next up, LIU versus Illinois. Illinois looks really, really good. I know they're coming off that kind of heartbreaker loss here. We have them at plus 33, at plus 34.5. That's a 2.6% edge, and their spread consensus. Now, again, if you want to be conservative, we say do 4% and higher, but I can tell you from personal experience, from what we're hearing back from our customers so far, that they're definitely being a little more aggressive than just the 4%. And so edge is edge, right? It just depends on how aggressive you want to be. All right, next up, Nicholls State versus Oklahoma State. We make this Nicholls plus 23. Market is plus 24.5. There is actually some value on the under here as well. I'll do the totals next. All right, kind of wrapping up some of these high edge games. Eastern Kentucky versus Mercer. We have Eastern Kentucky -5. So at a -3.5, we have that as a 2.4% edge. And so no spread consensus, but still there's edge there here for the Colonels if you want. We got some questions in the chat. Yo, what up? Does it show where the best line is like on the football model? So on our football package, we do a very similar thing where we take sort of all the lines and we put sort of where the best one is. We try to do this for this one as well. The problem that we kind of run into is because there's just so much movement and so much back and forth in basketball, unlike kind of what you see with football, just because, again, it's all in one day, right? It's less than 24 hours from open to tip, even for the night games. We want to make sure things are pretty clear. So we don't have the best book for this one. We want to don't make it too congested with everything that's on there. But again, these are all retail books. These are coming from Odds API. And so Odds API only has, the big name retail books there. And so if there's ever a question, especially if you guys are members, shoot us an email. We'll be happy to help you out. But generally speaking, in my experience, a lot of these have been pretty publicly available. Unlike football, where, especially at open, you may see 1 or 2 books that are, kind of slow on a key number. With the basketball, they do tend to all be pretty in step just because there's not enough time, excuse me, for there to be a ton of deviation. Now, of course, not saying that you can't have deviation, but it's not as bad as football. So, but yeah, that's where we're at for that. Okay, next, North Carolina Central versus Dayton. So we make this North Carolina Central plus 26.5. Current spread is plus 28. So, and that's spread consensus. So all 3 models agree. 2.4% edge, you can see because the numbers are getting a little tight there. Again, we do deal with tight margins sometimes, but that would be a positive EV bet. All right, so here's kind of where it gets down to a little coin flippy territory, if you will. North Florida versus Southern Miss. We make North Florida 6. You can see 6.75. So this is actually a great example. Going back to your question earlier. So when you see these 0.25s or 0.75s, what's actually happening there is that it's an average of what some books have. So this means that there are in the market right now, there are 6.5s and there are 7s. And that's why you're seeing an average of 6.75. So in this case, it would behoove you to try to find the 7 that's in the market. But yeah, that's a 0.8% edge and spread consensus. So that would be a positive EV bet if you want to get a little aggressive. All right, wrapping this up, Prairie View versus Tin Martin. We have Prairie View at plus 8. Spreads at +9. So again, you guys can see how when these margins get pretty tight, not a lot of wiggle room for error, but technically would be a positive EV bet. Missouri State Bears, we like Missouri State -2.5. You can currently get a -1.5 in the market. Again, 0.8%. And then Penn State, there they are. Penn State versus Providence. We got Penn State +3. You can currently find them at +4. There is spread consensus, so all three models agree on the +3. But again, it's just super tight margins, so it's only a 0.8% edge there. And then lastly, Coppin. I mean, this is a coin flip, 0.1%. I would consider this nothing, but just for the sake of experiment, Coppin versus VCU, we have them at 32, and you can find them at 32.5. I will say sometimes, so when we do this, you'll see this kind of this gray screen happen. So we run it through GitHub and on a Shiny app, and so sometimes when this thing tends to update, it may force a restart sometimes. So if you see that, just restart. Okay, so those are the positive EV spreads. So I'm going to take a quick second and do money lines. Money lines are a little bit different. I want to make sure we're all on the same page there. All right, so for money lines, let me get to recenter. So for money lines, it's the same exact concept, but just because these are positive EV bets, this does not mean that we think this team will win. Okay. All this means is that based off their current odds, we give them a higher chance to win than what their current chance is. And this is where you really want to look at where this money line win probability is. So I'm going to give you a perfect example. So these first two lines are perfect on how to interpret whether or not you should be betting these teams money line. All right. So the first one, Coastal Carolina, right? So again, we make this a pick 'em, but as a money line, when we give them a 54.5% chance to win, and this is essentially just kind of it's a coin flip game. There's a little bit of a rounding thing when you get there, because it's really not 0.0, it's a little bit higher than that. But when you look at the current money line of +127, right? That's really a 10% edge there, right? Because at +127, we're saying that they're pick'ems, technically slightly favored by less than a point, but they're underdogs, right? And so that would be a great example of if you're looking for a plus money line bet, Coastal Carolina would be a good bet. And money line consensus, so all three models agree that they would be on technically on the opposite side, essentially not a dog. So now on the flip side here, Incarnate Word. Okay, so Incarnate Word, they are at plus 520. Okay, so we give them a 19.2% chance to win that game. Now, this means we fully expect, right? 4 out of 5 times, Incarnate Word is going to lose this game, right? So this is not saying that there's edge here because we think they're going to win. We're just saying that plus 520, those odds are better or greater than what they should be, what their actual chance is. So that's all that means. So again, I wouldn't take Incarnate Word because I think they're going to win. I would take Incarnate Word if you feel so inclined because the price is too good to be true, right? But again, that's a losing man's game over a period of bets. But if you hit those, you're getting positive EV, so you're getting outsized gain. So I hope that makes sense. And so when you look here, when you do the money lines, yeah, I would definitely start with the edge, of course, but then I would check the money line win probability. This is far more important. So again, let's look here. Missouri State, right? So Missouri State's currently a -125. We give them a 57.3% chance. So that's a positive edge. That would be a good money line bet if you're looking for something that's reasonable and has value, right? So you can see here, a lot of these are going to be big dogs or heavy favorites. Here's another one, UT Arlington over Weber State. So you can see UT Arlington is currently a +114. We give them a 47.8% chance. So that's a slight edge and spread money line consensus. So that's how that works. But I want to spend time. Let's do the totals because I think that's a little more intuitive. So again, for the totals, we have here over and under edge, the exact same thing. We have the probability, the predictor totals, what we make it, what the market currently is, and what that edge is there. So as of right now, there are no edges on the overs. And again, this still, obviously, these games are all for tomorrow. We will see movement throughout the day. And this is why it's so important to check this throughout. We like to say bet openers. That's our sort of model for our motto, excuse me, for football and basketball, just sports in general. I can tell you just from personal experience, we're seeing a ton of CLV by betting the night before. But yeah, you definitely can see some of these things go from no edge to positive edge, and positive edge to no edge, and that would be a good thing because it means you got CLV. You were on the right side. There is definitely a thin line between trying to chase things at close, but that's just our kind of our general guidance. But again, this tool is for you. It's for you to use it however you want to do in terms of your betting. You can be as aggressive as you want. So there's only a few games where there's edges on the under. I know this first one is Oklahoma State, but I'm just going to go over here for good measure. So Oklahoma State versus Nichols. We have this. We make this 159.5 as the predicted total. That's that average. Market total is 162.5. So we give that a 54.5% under cover probability. So that's 2.1% edge. And then the next two for 1% edges are High Point, High Point versus Incarnate Word, and then CSU versus St. Thomas. So High Points, we make it 159. The market's currently at 161.5. And then we have 155 and 156.5. So those are the bets right now that are currently in edge. Again, I can tell you from experience, these definitely will move as the day goes on, as tomorrow starts. And so if you want to lock in that CLV, I would definitely get these in tonight. If you want to see where the lines move and kind of, what the movement is and see if more bets open up for tomorrow, then go through tomorrow, right? But there will be, obviously these are big days. Saturdays are big basketball days. So that's how you would use this to your advantage. And again, this updates essentially every 10 minutes, both with the current spreads, and then we recalculate our predictions. Oh, that's one other thing I want to mention. So just like football, with basketball, we do the same thing. So we have whatever our predictions are, right? We take all the models and we blend those together. But again, we know the market is smarter than us, right? The market is smarter than any one person. And so as the lines move, our predictions will move as well because we weight them to the market. And so let's say we make a game -10, right? But the spread is -5. Well, we're not going to say our prediction is -10. We're going to say, well, hey, the market knows a little bit something we probably don't know. So let's add a little bit of weight. So instead of it being -10 as a raw number, it's probably -7.5, right? Because we're giving weight to that market -5. We're adjusting to the market, or we're weighting to the market. Because again, we know we don't know everything, even though we have a pretty sharp edge here. So again, as the lines move, you will see the prediction move. That's normal, which can also affect the spread there. All right, we got another question here. Do you change your unit size for CBB bets due to the much greater value that NFL or CFB? Easy, 100%. 100%. I can tell you, just looking at the 4% edge bets, right now we're probably getting around 3 to 4 today, which is definitely manageable. But if you want to do 3%, I'm sorry, 4% edge plus consensus is 3 to 4 a day. But if you wanted to just do strictly edge bets and that's only for spreads. So if you want to do spreads, totals, you can literally get into dozens of bets every single day. And so, our primary focus is on football right now. That's where a lot of our bankroll is being tied up in. And we want to make sure that even though we know we have an edge, we don't want to get irresponsible, right? And so for NFL, for CFB, we've already locked a profit. We can't be not profitable because of our winning rate so far, and how much time's left in the season. So we want to make sure we maximize that. And then NFL, again, we're also profitable. So we want to make sure we're doing this. I would say once the football season ends and it's just college basketball, I'll definitely shift a little bit more into CBB. But as of right now, you're right. There's just too much value for me. Now, again, if you guys are not betting football, or you're doing something where football is less of your bankroll and you're doing maybe quarter Kelly or something far less, then do what works for you, right? Maybe you don't want to bet football. Maybe college basketball is where you want to be at. Whatever works for you. This is why we built these tools, right? We give you some sort of basic guidance, but that's why for NFL, college football, and college basketball, we post this table. We post the whole model output. So you're not just saying what we see. You're not betting what we bet. You can bet what we bet plus everything else, whatever you want to. So do what works for you, but definitely be responsible. All right, so that is it for me. Those are all the games that currently have edge. Again, this will change tomorrow morning, but want to give you guys a sneak preview tonight. So shout out for being on YouTube and being our our subscribers or just viewers. So if you want to see this again for yourself, go to btb-analytics.com and use code YTLive for 20% off. I'll hang out for another probably 30 seconds. If I get no questions, I'm going to sign off. But if you guys want to talk about certain games, want to see what the output is, I'll hang out for a little bit here and show you whatever games you want to see. So with that being said, the floor is yours for the comments. I need like Jeopardy music right now. All right. Hector, you want to see St. Peter's? All right. So let's take a look at St. Peter's. And then on here, so when you get to the table, you can go here to select teams, and then you can see here that we have um you can just type in the name of the school. All right. So St. Peter's, the Peacocks, they're going against UMass Laurel River Hawks. We make this -6.5. The current spread is -7, right? And so that's actually a negative EV for us. We give that a 48.4% chance of covering. And so remember, at -110, that's a 50. So -110 odds means it's a 52.4% chance of happening, right? That's how that math works out. And so for us, that's essentially a -4% EV, a -4% edge. So that would not be a bet for us. We give them a 72.4% chance of winning. But again, at -300, there's no value on the money line. And then we make this 152, and the market's currently at 153.5. So, essentially no edge on the under 0.2%. If you want to look at that, but yeah, that's it. And then if you wanted to look this, I guess a good exercise would be what about UMass, right? Since that's who they're playing, just for confirmation. And this is you see this a lot. And this is I don't want to get on my soapbox, but this is why sports books eat. This is why they make so much money, right? Because they're giving you -110 odds, right? And that means it's a 52.4% chance of happening. There are definitely times, a lot of times actually, where there's no edge on either side, right? If it's truly 50-50 and you're getting charged 52.4 for each, like it's a losing either way. Now, again, depends on what you make the number, of course. But if we are right on market, we commonly see this thing where neither team on a spread has an edge because, again, it's -110 odds. So UMass, we give them a 51. We make the +6.5, obviously. And so we give them a 51.6% chance of covering. But again, that's less than 52.4. So slightly negative edge. And then for the money line, we give them a 27.6% chance of winning. But at +240, again, that's not an edge there. So, all right. Binghamton. All right. So, oh, and then one thing too, these are only for D1 versus D1 matchups. So if there are some that are not, or a D1 team playing somebody else, we won't have output for that. We can only do D1 to D1. So I'm trying to see who does Binghamton play? Maryland Eastern. I don't think we have them. Yeah, we don't have them on there, so I don't have that one. Lipscomb, yeah, Lipscomb will have though. Lipscomb Bisons. Who does Lipscomb play? They play Western Carolina. So let's take a look. If I can type. Okay, Lipscomb. So we're right on market. We are right on market. Lipscomb, we make this -2.5. That's exactly what the spread is. And again, at -110 odds, this really what we're saying is that should be a +100, right? But at -110, you're not getting edge there. The money line, technically, some small edge for Western Carolina. We give them a 44.4% chance of winning that game. So at +126, technically value, but at 0.3% edge, there are definitely better bets out there. And then for the totals, we make this 153, market total 154.75. So again, what that means is there are 154.5s and there are 155s in the market right now. So of course, if you want to bet the under, you want to find that 155. Even though there is under consensus, so all three models agree, there's just not enough room here on the under. It's slightly negative EV at negative 0.2%. So, okay. All right, Hector. All right. I'll give you one last one. All right. Okay, for real, last one. Ball State. I got you, man. All right, so let's take a look. Ball State. Who are they playing? Oh, they're playing Indiana State. Nice. All right. So the Sycamores. All right, Cardinals versus Sycamores. So Ball States. Let's hide that. All right, Ball States. We make this again right on market. We're right on market +8. That's where current spread is. So it's gonna be the same exact thing. It's gonna be no edge because again, we were right on the number. Really no edge on the money line. We give Ball State a 24.2% chance of winning, but at +310. That's essentially right on market, slightly under, so no edge there. And then for the totals, we make this 152.5. Market's at 151.5. So again, at -110 odds, there's just not enough edge there for the over. So, but yeah, I mean, and again, this is I will say just from doing this year and last year too, there are some sexy games and there are a ton of not sexy games. Like you got to be deep in your ESPN Plus subscription to watch some of these things. But I mean, like if you want to win though, like money is money, right? Hell, we were on Stonehill today. I've never watched a Stonehill game in my life, and as a matter of fact, you couldn't watch it because it was only on Northeastern Conference, plus channel, which like doesn't effectively exist. So, but they covered for us. So all right. Yeah, no problem, man. I'm just giving you shit. But yeah, no, of course, man. We do it for you guys. We're all about transparency. We're all about, giving people a fighting chance against the books because people are getting slaughtered out here. So being able to use these tools, if you guys enjoy them, that's all we care about. Definitely love to have you guys on this journey. Again, we do NFL, college football, and now college basketball, and we'll be back. I'll be doing this definitely not every day or every week, because we want to give respect to our members who actually do subscribe to the model and not just give everything away for free. But we'll definitely be doing this throughout the year. So if you guys aren't subscribed yet, definitely at least if you guys aren't subscribed to the model, at least subscribe to this channel so you can see when we go live. We do a weekly football show. We do weekly college football, weekly NFL. We give out a free play for both of those and talk about some of the matchups. Then, like I said, we'll do more college basketball stuff. So you at least get some free stuff. But if you even want to just try it out for a week, again, you can use the code down here for 20% off your first week. Or you can just hop on in with the season package, whatever works for you. So, all right. Any other games you guys want to see before I sign off? And I'll tell you what, Hector, I'll give you a bonus one. I'll give you one more if you really want it. Anybody else in the chat, if you guys want to see any games before we sign off, I'll give you 30 seconds to put it in the chat there and see what you got. I need like Jeopardy music though. At the buzzer. At the buzzer, Hector. All right. UC Irvine. All right. I got you. All right. Let's see. UC Irvine. The Anteaters. Who do we got? Oh, Northern Iowa. I feel like Northern Iowa is always one of those. UNI is one of those gritty, grimy teams. I feel like. All right. So, damn. Yeah. See, here we go again. Right on market. Right on market. Minus. We make this. We make this UC Irvine +1, and Northern Iowa -1. That's exactly where it's opened. Let's see. Current money line. You can get. You can get UC Irvine for even money, but we make them again slight underdog. So there's not a lot of value. Now I'll tell you what though, if this money line went from -120 to -110, this would be an even bet. So this would be like a 0% edge, but at least be a fair line, right? But at -120, it's just there's no value there. That's the problem. And then for the total, again, we're right on total 137. That's exactly where the market's at. So there's no edge there. Let's see. When do books put out lines for those more gross games generally? Yeah. So I'm in Arizona. So right now we're on Mountain Time, but we normally we're in Pacific. So I see games typically load up around 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Pacific is when I see the big slate, like the normal slate, and that's going to be your combination of your Power Five and some of your gross games. And then it depends on what the day is. So during the week, you may not see, like, I didn't see Stonehill on Caesars until this morning. I got it on FanDuel, but on Caesars, I don't they didn't post it until like this morning. But FanDuel had it late last night around like 8 or 9 o'clock. And then for the weekend slate, the Saturday slates, they're typically pretty good. The Saturday slates are typically up like right now on Friday night, and they get them all out. So I think you have a lot better of a chance to get those games in. And then it also depends too. Like there are some like these like Patriot League games or like a 9 a.m. for some reason on a Wednesday morning. Those are typically out the night before. But yeah, I think typically by 8 to 9, I would say 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Pacific, you can definitely see the full slate or most of the slate. And then if there's a game you're looking for by 7 a.m., you'll see the full slate out there. That's been my personal experience. So, let's see. Oh yeah, your dog's incognito account. I remember this username. What's up? Uh, Strict up me seeing both teams play. UC Santa Barbara +6 seems like a good bet. Did we do UC here? Let's take a look. Let's see. And I will say, this is I definitely like watching college basketball. And we're definitely in this time where you can see like wildly different performances for teams, but you also can see teams that may be better or worse than I think the market will catch up. I think Memphis for me is one of those teams that on paper, yeah, they look bad record wise, and yeah, they have like literally a completely new roster. But if you look at their efficiency numbers, like the Ken Palm rankings, they're actually a damn good team. And they're damn good in America. I think they're going to win the American. I think it's between them and USF, but like that's one of those teams I think is really slept on because of all the drama about having no chemistry and being. I think are they did they I don't know if they lost tonight. I know they were 1-3 after the Purdue game. I don't know if they lost tonight, but that's a team that I think is definitely going to punch up. But okay, UC Santa, the Gauchos. All right, yeah. So we are pretty close to market. We make this +5.5. You can get +6. So you're not wrong. That's definitely value there. It's just not enough for us to have an edge because of the odds there. So it's negative 0.8% edge for us for covering. Now your dog's incognito account. How much are you about that life, right? So we give them a 34.7% chance of winning. So at +202, that is edge. That is edge. It's only going to happen 1 out of 3 times, but it is technically edge. But yeah, +6. It wouldn't be the worst bet in the world, but it would be a negative EV by our numbers, right? Now, if you make the number, +5 or +4.5, then yeah, that definitely would be. But we make it +5.5. So for us, it wouldn't meet it, and then we're right on market for what our total is, 148.5. So, but yeah, I mean, go Gauchos. Yeah, figure out the line in Nevada -6. Okay, nice, 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 nice. Yeah. So, yeah, again, technically a half point edge there. So, or half point margin. So, good luck. Good luck. I got nothing against the Gaucho. So, or you for that matter. So best of luck. Hope it covers. All right. Anything else, you guys? I will say you guys have been rocking. I know we got people in the chats, but we got a fairly stable amount of people watching. So respect. All right. Again, I'll give it 15 more seconds for any last minute requests for any games to look at for tomorrow. All right. All right. I think I'm gonna call it then. So hey guys, thank you so much. Again, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, we'll be doing this again. And then we will do this for college football. And then you can always go to the website itself to get access to it. I see your comment. What's the highest EV game for tomorrow? Yeah, so that's cool. We can come here and just sort for this. Yep. So right now our highest EV is Coastal Carolina at +2.5. We make this a pick 'em. This is a little misleading because it's just rounding, right? Because there's 3 models on average. It rounds out to a pick 'em. We actually have Coastal Carolina slightly favored by like a quarter point or something like that. But at plus 2.5, that's a 5.6% edge. Now, again, and I'll tell you, this is when I'm betting. I probably like for me, I would rather take money line. So the money line is actually 10.6% edge. So again, we actually have Coastal Carolina winning this game. Technically speaking, they're not a dog. So at plus 127, that's for sure the biggest edge, and that's one of the ones where it's a big edge. It's a positive, bet because it's a underdog, and it has a reasonable chance of winning. Not like some of the stuff where it's like, oh yeah, there's an edge, but they're only going to win 4.8% of the time. Like that's not worth betting. This Coastal Carolina is definitely one I'm looking into for tomorrow that I'm betting over North Dakota. It's a good question. Dope. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the time. I'll be back again. Subscribe. You get the notifications when we go live, and we'll do this again. So, again, if you haven't already, if you want to check this out for yourself, be sure to sign up. Otherwise, we will be doing this periodically. And whatever you're betting on, good luck tomorrow. All right. I'll see you guys later.